Good morning, all my beautiful and relaxed friends from around the world. Oh gosh, good morning from Croatia. You're just down the way from Moldova. Another little hop. Taiwan. I hope it should be sort of afternoon, evening for you. If you are dialing in from London, it is too early, my love. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry, that's rough. And we've got a really good question that I've seen a couple different people asking, and um, I usually, because I'm mean, try and push y'all to do questions at the end. But this question, I've seen a bunch of people ask, and I just want to be really, really chill about it. So a lot of people have said, hey, do I have to finish all of this in 6 weeks to get my certification? Absolutely not. So the 6 weeks, we're just adding some extra support around the free Code Camp curriculum. So we're adding these streams, so hopefully we can answer some more of your questions and show you how we might think through these things. And we're adding the forum and the Discord. Ooh, that's very new. To help you get questions from your peers and answer those. But if you need to take a break and come back, that's fine. If it takes you 12 weeks instead of 6, that's fine. If it takes you a year instead of 6 weeks, that's still fine. All of these videos will still be on YouTube. The forum is still going to be up. And free code camp isn't going anywhere. If you need more time, it's super, super chill. Everything is fine. That's not true. The world is big and scary. This is going to be fun. Programming can't hurt you. Maybe I'm still lying. This course can't hurt you. How's that? So today we're going to do something exceptionally difficult. And I'm excited about that because I'm a mean teacher. But I'm excited about that because we're going to be doing our first project together. And these are some of the projects you need to complete to get your certification. So this is pretty important. Yeah. Oh, from Qatar. Gosh, what time is it there? It's sort of mid-morning, late morning. Oh gosh, and if I haven't said it yet, good morning to those of you just starting your day. Good afternoon to those of you who are living in the future. And I'm terribly sorry if it's super late in the evening. But what we're going to do today is start our survey form project. And you might notice that we can see a little bit more. So we can see our tabs going on today. Yeah. So remember that this is a 10 a.m. 10 a.m. That's decidedly humane. I should run this class at 10 a.m. my time. 10 a.m. is not a bad time to be awake. So I'm going to come all the way down. You might say, oh, we're doing responsive web design. We totally are. But what we're actually doing is the beta one. We're testing out the new curriculum, which feels really chill to me. We're going to push go on this. We get a little warning. Hey, this is the beta curriculum. And we're like, no. We got this. This is fine. And we're going to come all the way down and if you haven't finished all these, don't worry about it. I'd still recommend doing these in order just because it's 8 a.m. in Nigeria and you are out here on the. I hope you've got a coffee, my love. 8 a.m. That's too. I say it's 7. So we've done 4 of these sections so far, and you might see, oh, well, we haven't finished it. It's like, no, we got started together and making you finish on your own because I'm mean. And this is the last one we did. We did a little bit more than 17. That's lying. And what we're going to do today is look at the building a survey form project. Yeah, let's take a look at this. And this is automatically completely different, right? Everything's different. Everything's bad. Everything's scary. It's fine. It's going to be fine. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using a different sandbox. Does anybody remember what a sandbox is? Yeah. So a sandbox is one of these tech terms and you're going to hear so many tech terms you haven't heard before. And some of them are tech people kind of being jerks. We're like, oh, we're going to use a super hard term where an easy term would work. But I really like the term sandbox. So sandbox means a sort of environment where some of the complexity has been abstracted away. So some of the hard stuff has been hidden from us. And when you're super, super advanced web developers, because you're web developers now, maybe you don't want a sandbox. Maybe you want something with a little bit more control. But for now, free Code Camp, for an example, is a sandbox. It's sort of an artificial coding environment where we have extra support. And I really like these sandboxes. I think they're cool. We're going to be in a different sandbox today. We're going to be in a different playground. We're going to, and you're going to have to make a separate account for this. So if you haven't already and you want to follow along, going to codepen.io and signing up for an account. It's free, nothing bad is going to happen, but you're going to need to do this to finish your project. So let's say you're on Codepen, everything's chill. Oh, Cesar makes such a good point when we talk about a sandbox. It's like going to a gym for coding. Yeah, sandboxes aren't always a learning environment, so I'm going to be super careful that I don't set expectations wrong. But the ones we're in right now aren't they? We've got those extra guidance. You've got a personal trainer. I don't like me pretending to be a personal trainer. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a new pen. Oh, we just pushed that button. And look at this. We've got, when we talk about our sandbox in Free Code Camp, remember that our sandbox in Free Code Camp shows us our HTML file. And we've got the same thing going on here. This is our HTML file where it says HTML. We're going to be writing our HTML in there. That's super chill. Oh, wait, this is telling me if I pay money, I get more stuff. I'm not going to pay money. And y'all don't have to pay money either. So here's where our HTML is. And let's just look at what that corresponds to in the Free Code Camp curriculum, just so we see where we are. Where's my useless human brain? That makes it sound suspiciously like I have a non-human brain somewhere. And I want to specify that I do not have a non-human brain anywhere. So let's look at our sandbox in Free Code Camp. So we've got our preview form, and that's where we can see the code we've written. And that's going to be down here, I think, isn't it? Yeah. We've got our HTML, which is going to be right here. And our HTML here is this little red tab. We can do this. This is chill. And then we can also see our CSS, and our CSS will pop up in the middle. But here, our CSS is this little blue tab still in the middle. You might say, oh, Jess, we got a JavaScript tab. Are we doing JavaScript today? Absolutely not. What we're going to do is minimize our JavaScript editor. What Codepen is saying is, hey, I think you're building a web project. Let's chill. I think you might want to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And we say, hey, I really appreciate you putting this into the sandbox for me, but I don't really need JavaScript today. I'm just going to hide that. I'm just going to take away that level of complexity for right now. And I am extremely excited because you know how I'm always starting your homework with you, starting your assignment, and then I'm like, ha ha ha, you have to finish this on your own. It's because I'm mean. I get to be super mean today because your projects have to be kind of unique, aren't they? This isn't going to be like the normal Free Code Camp steps where they tell you every single step. They're going to tell us how to do this in a different way, but they're also going to make us use creativity. Ugh, making me be creative first thing on Monday. Tuesday? Is it the first thing in a Tuesday morning? Just sounds brutal. That sounds like a crime. But what we're going to do is we've got some user stories, and user stories are real things in tech. And these are a set of requirements or goals or stories around what our application or here, what our website needs to do to be complete. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to do, and I think this is going to be a really big problem. I mean, that's a very strange tone, isn't it? This is going to be such a big problem. This is going to be such an exciting problem. Is we're going to take these user stories and we're going to turn them into HTML comments. Can anybody remember how we do a comment in HTML? It's Tuesday. It's very early in the morning. I have absolutely completely forgotten how to do a comment. Somebody in the chat has to let me know how these comments work, or we'll just be stuck forever. You'll have to do all your homework on your own. Oof. While you all remind me how to do a comment, which because I've absolutely forgotten, what we're gonna do is take a y'all are absolutely out here to save me. Carlos is like, yeah. And you said, well, Jess, I don't think you've actually forgotten this, but it's a little spiky babies, an exclamation point, and some dashes. Yeah. Oh, all of you remember this. Thank you. Thank you for letting me absolutely fussy and make me t- make you tell me. And what we're going to do is we're going to start doing a series of comments, I think. I think I'm going to make a comment for each user story. How many do we have? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Look at these. We've got 16 user stories. We've got 16 requirements. I can't possibly do all of these. I will die. I won't die. Nothing bad is going to happen. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to copy them. Command C. I'm going to come over to this Codepen, and you've reminded me that to create an HTML comment, it's little spiky baby. Spiky baby being the very technical term for those pointy braces. Exclamation point and a couple of dashes. And most of the tags we open, we've got to close as well. We've got this. I'm going to close that. And what we're going to do here is I try not to say just too often in programming, because if I say, oh, just, and say something that sounds hard, that's real discouraging. But here, we're just going to copy and paste. We're just going to take our requirements over. And this is a lot, isn't it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to only look at one of these at a time. That hasn't done anything. So what I've done is started a comment and started a comment. But I'm going to go ahead and end this comment here. It means anything right here. It's no longer commented. It's active. It happens. I confess that I'd love to give you a very good excuse for why I'm tired today, but I stayed up very late and played video games. Oh, is it 17? Not 16. Oh gosh, have I not? It's 16. Yeah. Phew. So I'd love to give you an excuse. I'm terribly tired. I'm a mess today, and say, oh gosh, I'm not at my best because I was doing really, really important. I stayed up late playing video games. So I'm going to be an even worse teacher than usual. And I'm going to make y'all carry me. We're going to do this as a group. And what we're going to do, oh, are we supposed to use the Codepen template, you think? Let's go ahead and read the instructions. You're very. So we can use HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Plain CSS is what we recommend. Yeah. So I'm not seeing a specific template that we need here. Oh gosh, you can build. Fadila, you are absolutely so patient and lovely. Use this template. Look at this important part of this, which is actually reading the instructions. I got so excited. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do this properly. So forget everything I've just said, which would be easy. It was happy fluff. And then we're going to come down and we're going to start it actually by using this CodePen template instead. You are so merciful and so kind. Look at this. Oh, we've got somebody saying, hey, oh gosh, first you're saying nicely, and saying, oh, I'd like to do React sometime. So this course we're doing together right now, we're only going to do HTML and CSS and stuff associated with it. We do have a JavaScript boot camp, and we're having some conversations right now about how we might be able to support around the certification for front-end frameworks. Yeah. Just because we think, oh gosh, that's something you want to handle in a really dedicated way. So we're gonna take all this nonsense I just said and ignore me because I am literally the worst. I'm gonna close this. Leave it. It never happened. We can walk away from our mistakes. Let's start over. Everything's fine. Here we've got a note that says, read the README in the JavaScript editor. Cool. So it says, We can add more JavaScript and CSS, but it says, look at this. You cannot touch. I mean, these comments are fine, but you've got to leave. Well, we'll leave the instructions alone, but we're also going to leave this alone. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. It says, feel free to delete this message. We can delete this. That's fine. We're going to leave this important note alone just because it's documentation and we're going to come back to that. Yeah. And this is telling us how to run our tests. We got that. So we're selecting the test we're going to do. This is a survey form, isn't it? I feel like this is the survey form. And now we can start working. Everything's fine. I'm going to come all the way up, deep breath. Whew, it's a bit of a journey. And we're going to start looking at this again. As I've just told you right before demonstrating how rubbish I am, I'm feeling a little bit sleepy and a little bit rubbish today, which I really want to. It happens. Sometimes you're going to wake up and be like, yeah, I feel great. I can't wait to do programming word puzzles. Because that's kind of what programming is, isn't it? They're word puzzles. And someday you'll be like, no, I don't want to do it. So today we're just going to do this a little bit sleepy and a little bit grumpy. And I need help. I'm going to need some help turning these user stories into sort of technical requirements. So I'm going to, oh gosh, do we not, the yellow box with the text suite. So if you're not seeing that, make sure that you've used the template. Let me go ahead and link you to the template. Let's copy link address to get started. That template to get started is this link right here. Oh gosh, yeah, that'll suit you. Everything's chill. So I'm going to need you to tell me what to do. And we're going to keep doing this as we do these. I need you all to tell me what to do in kind of plain technical terms. The user story says, I can see a title with the ID of title in H1 size text. What do I do? What HTML element am I going to put down first? And genuinely, I'm not going to do a thing until one of you tells me, listen, wake up sleepy, join late, try and get started on the wrong template. And now I'm like, I refuse to do any work until you tell me what I'm going to do. Just mean and mean and mean today. So while I'm being mean, what HTML element am I going to put down first for a user story that says, I can see? And we can break this down a little bit. I can see a title. Ooh, I think this means there's a title. Yeah. So immediately I think this is going to be a title element. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Huh. It's got the ID of title. I don't really put IDs in a title element. And then it says in H1 size text. Yeah. So we've got Irvin and we've got a couple different people making a really, really good point. And I want to talk about this really quickly. Say, hey, Jess, don't you dare. We need to declare the doc type first, and we probably need to declare the head and body element. And then inside the body element, we have an H1 element. And you are absolutely, durably, reliably, perfectly correct, except Codepen is a different kind of sandbox. And sandboxes all have different rules. And one thing Codepen does for us is it takes away some of the abstraction that Free Code Camp, some of the things that Free Code Camp makes us do. So we don't have to declare, Codepen does this for us. Achraf points out, you know what? We think we have to do this, and we would totally have to do this in a real setting. But Codepen magically behind the scenes already does our doc type, already does our HTML declaration, and already does our head, title, and body. I think it does main as well. So really, we're just going to, and I didn't tell you that because I'm mean. I wanted to talk to you one more time about abstraction. So we're going to jump right in and put the element itself that would be in our main. Oh, somebody's joined late. What we're doing right now is we're trying to talk through our first project together, which is that build a survey form project. So I'm so sorry that that's me being super mean and saying, ha 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 ha. These things that we've carefully taught you to do, you don't have to do just for these projects. And we've got a couple people are saying, all right, cool, Jess, since you're mean and you've explained I don't have to declare a doc type, I don't have to do, you do have to do these, just not on Codepen. Somebody's saying, I think this is an H1. Let's flash that up real fast to take it away. So we need an H1 with the title. Yeah. And I'm just going to turn this requirement into different language. Yeah. Make a H1 element that contains my title. I can do that. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that super fast. Oh, you think I'm coming over to the CSS, but I'm not. I'm going to keep doing that in here. Oof. H1. When we start something, we've got to finish it. Yeah. No matter how long it takes, and even if we fall behind or have to take a break. Oh gosh, what should we title this? It's a survey form. My programming survey. You know what? It's early and everything's going to be a little bit stressful and weird. So I'm going to say it's my programming survey. It's difficult, but let's go ahead and stretch this out because we can see that pop up on the preview, but it's kind of hidden by my test suite, isn't it? Can I? Oh, I can hide it and it'll come back. Everything's fine. So does this feel okay? Does this feel like we've met our first user story? We've met our first requirement? Yeah. It says my programming survey. That's the title. And the cool thing, the scary thing is your title can be whatever you want. Everything's fine. Yeah. So what we're going to do next, because I feel like this happened. I feel like we're good here. It's cool. We still have all of our user stories in this list. You know what I think I might do? I think I might delete this one because it feels finished. Oh, is it not finished? Yeah. Ha 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 ha. I'm just being mean to y'all all day because I got so excited and said, oh, it's an H1 element. I'm done. But this is the really important thing. We've got the ID of title that we need right here. And I think we're going to put that inside of our H1 element. We're going to set an ID. Ooh, can anybody tell me about IDs? How many different IDs can I have on the same page with the ID of title? Yeah, remember classes. We can put a bunch of different elements in the same class, but with an ID, we just want one per page. So really, I did not expand this enough. That contains the ID of title and has the ID of title. What is the most important thing? Ah, Leanne, after my own heart. IDs are unique. Oh, sorry. IDs, they're like name tags. If you want to say, hey, you, this element right here, you're special. I want to give you a name just for you. So I'm going to remember you. Very chill. Everything's okay. So, do we feel like it's done this time? Do we think I'm done messing with you? I can see I can see a title. Okay. With the ID of title. ID of title. That's done in H1 size text. All right. Do we feel okay deleting it this time? We feel like we've actually done it this time. Yeah. What happens if we run our tests? 2 out of 17 passed. Oh, look at. So what you're saying is I can test my user requirements as we go. I can test my user stories as we go, and it's going to tell me if I've got this right. Oh, nice. So I can see it. Number one, I could see a title with the ID of title in H1 size text. I can delete this. This is finished. Everything's fine. Yeah. Now, hide you again. And what is our favorite thing to do as programmers? What is our most wonderful hobby? Is when we've got something right, we delete it. Somebody's saying they're seeing 0 out of 0 passed. I'm thinking that might be an issue with the template. If you get stuck on something like that, let us know in the forum or in the Discord, and we'll get you unstuck. That's just computers being weird. So let's go ahead and do user story 2. Yeah? Yeah? Oh, okay. Y'all are going to have to tell me what to do. Don't tell me the code. I mean, you can tell me the code if you want to. Don't tell me the code I'm going to use necessarily. But what am I going to make? What kind of element here? Oh God, you've got to select the right project to get the right tests as well. That sounds like the kind of thing that would trip me up, isn't it? So, what kind of element am I writing here? Yeah. What element am I writing? I see that I need an element that contains a short explanation. Okay. Yeah, y'all are helping me out. Y'all like, y'all, that's clearly a P. That's clearly a paragraph, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this comment and look at all this chaos. We're seeing all of our user stories because they're uncommented. They're active again. Way to take those both away. So you're telling me I need to make a P element with the ID of that has a summary. Oh, that explains the survey. Does that feel like what we're doing? Cesar, look at you. You are absolutely after my own heart. One thing that I like that Codepen does is it asks you to save. And Free Code Camp abstracts that away. Free Code Camp saves it for us, which we appreciate, right? But in the real world, you got to save it. Otherwise, it will whoop you. We probably want a title if we're saving this. Oh, heck. Let's give it a title of Free Code Camp Survey Project. This title is just so I remember it. Yeah. So we've got our user story. We've got how we've translated it, what we think this means. Let's go ahead and write this code. And you might notice, oh, heck, I did not finish this. You might notice that the actual programming we're doing, the HTML we're writing, kind of feels a lot easier than the process of translating these user stories into what we need to do. And once you get used to the syntax, the grammar of coding, that's going to be true almost all the time. That the actual typey, codey bits, very technical, typey, codey, is usually going to feel like the easy part. Whereas what we're doing now and saying, what is this asking for? What do I have to do? How do I want to structure an approach? That's the hard stuff, isn't it? So the ID is description. And as a woefully lazy programmer, I'm going to Control C and Control V that. And here we've got, again, the hard part, which is it says, be creative. This is your, and just to let you know, if I catch any of you just copying this word for word and saying my programming survey, I will I'm not going to like show up at your house, but I will be so disappointed. You've got to be creative. You've got to make your own thing. This could be a survey about what kinds of cats are the best. This could be a survey about what country makes the best jollof, which I would never, ever hesitate to avoid a debate about. This could be about what state makes the best barbecue. Yeah, it's going to be a form about whatever you want to make a form about. And I want to say this survey is to better understand what people think is hard about programming. That's what I'm wondering. Yeah. So my coding adventure, which is such a good username, by the way, is saying, wait. This survey can be about whatever. Yeah. The only thing we have to do is meet the requirements in our user stories. This is yours. This is your project. I'm doing this about so I want to ask, mostly because I want to ask y'all. I want to ask, hey, what do we think is hard about programming? But you can do whatever you can do whatever you want as long as it fits within the code of conduct for Free Code Camp and the code of conduct for the boot camp. So nothing rude, nothing obscene, but yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can get weird. I would like you to get weird. So here, and somebody's asked us why we're using this ID. We're using this ID for two reasons. The one, they ask us for this in the user story. It says, hey, use an ID of description. And we're doing what we're told. We got that. But also because maybe we want to style this with CSS later. We want to style just this ID. Or maybe we just want to leave a note for future developers. Let's run our tests. Come back, test suite. Ba-bum. And what I want to see is that we've got 3 tests passing, yeah? Ooh, we've got 3 tests passing. Let's take a look. Okay, we're using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We got that. Number 1 passed. Number 2 passed. Everything is fine. Nothing can hurt us. It's just programming. Ooh, Cindy, look at this question. So, can we have stuff in here that isn't in the user stories? Yes, I would excitingly encourage you to do that. So, you have to do the user stories to pass, but you can keep doing weird stuff. You can add pictures, you can add, seriously, get weird. Nobody, this is you programming your own thing. Nobody can tell you what to do. Nobody can stop you. Yeah. Yeah, we've got this a similar question. So wait. The user story means are requirements, yeah, that we need to include. But the general concepts can be anything. Yeah. Okay. Legend, you're stuck on some Codepen technical issues. Let's go ahead and unstick you towards the ends just so we can get it through a couple more of these tests, if that's okay. If we can't get you unstuck on the stream, go ahead and give us a yell in the Discord or the forum, and we'll get you unstuck. I promise, my love. So 3 tests pass, including user story number 2. Let's delete this. We're free. We are free. We're going to go ahead and move this. We're going to comment out our requirements. And I'm doing this to sort of make it a little bit more easy, more human readable, more conceptually easy. And I only want to look at one user story at a time because even that, it's a lot. So here, user story number 3 says, I can see a form. And we're seeing the same language here again and again, aren't we? I can see, I can see. I think what this means is there is a, or you have to make a. So I can see seems like a very, very poetic way to say, there is a. What is it? I can see a form. There's a form. Okay. With the ID of, I'm doing this myself instead of asking you because my coffee's starting to kick in. So I'm a little bit more human. But also, I want to make sure we get through some of the hard stuff. And to make this feel a little bit more real, I'm going to be looking up a lot of this as we go. Yeah. So I can see a form. I feel reasonable. I feel cautiously confident that this is a form element. Yeah. I think I've got to end it. There's our form. And you notice that this automatically tabbed over. So one thing that Codepen does, which I really like, is it automatically formats stuff for us. It's really pretty. So we've got a form, but our tests aren't going to pass yet because our form doesn't have the ID of survey form. It is early enough where I'm looking at that like, is that how we spell survey? So we're going to add the ID of survey form, and we're going to copy and paste this because we love copying and pasting. Command C, Command V. And you know what? I think we're going to have to do a lot more than this because this website doesn't look finished at all, does it? But I think if we run our tests, that we're going to have 4 of these that pass. Nice. And I know the first one is that we're using HTML and CSS, so I feel reasonably confident. Oh, heck, that number 3 works. And here, look at this. Look at all these like test. These are going to be so scary and weird. Don't worry if these test errors don't make sense yet, They'll make sense later, but they're also just test suite output. It's okay if you don't understand proxy or function. We're not going to deal with that right now. This is your test stuff saying, no, this doesn't work. Well, that's okay. Just getting a no, this doesn't work is all right. It's important to look at what our errors say, but not get too freaked out if we don't understand all of it. Everything is chill. Since we passed test number 3, which is actually test number 4, isn't it? We can get rid of this user story. Yeah. Just like reduce the amount of space we have here just to make this super readable. Let's look at user story number 4. Let's see how many of these we can explore together before it's time for most of us to go to work or some of you to go to sleep. So user story number 4 says inside the form elements. Okay, I'm still going to be in here. I'm required to enter my name in a field with the ID of name. And this is really interesting because this exposes whose voice this is. Inside the form, I am required to enter my name. So really, when it says I see, I'm required to, I have to, the I it's talking about here is your user. So someone coming to your website has to. Ooh. So let's break this down. I'm seeing a couple different things. Ooh, some of you have already got this right. What do we need? So yeah, we're going to need an input element. If you're going to input something, you're going to need an input element in our form. That tracks. That seems okay, right? What else do we need? Ooh, what type is the input type? Look how lazy I'm being while I grab a coffee. What type? It's not even a coffee, it's a fancy mocha. Any opportunity to dump chocolate into a breakfast is not a bad way to live. So we need to set our input type is text. You might say, well, Jess, does it have to be an input type of text? That's the default. So while it's the default, we still want to include it. And you all are rightly yelling at me. And it needs to have the required attribute. Ooh. So I've been telling our requirements, what does this do? What am I forgetting? I'm going to turn this into bullet points just so we can see the different requirements. Type is text needs to have a required attribute. What is this actually doing? I've been so focused on the technical aspect. What type of element is this? What are the attributes? I'm completely ignoring the important part, which is takes a user's name. Cool, 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 cool. All right. I feel like that does it. Inside the form element, I'm required to enter my name. So we need to have an input element. It's text because somebody's entering their name. It has to have the ID of, it has the ID of, and you might say, Jess, this is so silly. Why are you checking these again and again? And I say, I'm going to check these again and again because our tests are going to check these for me and they're going to be a lot less gentle. Cesar's pointing out, hey. Sorry. Hey, are we not going to add a label yet? Oh, so let's check. Is that going to come up in later ones? So email, a number with ID number. So I'm not seeing. Oh, ha 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 ha. I felt like Free Code Camp was going to explicitly make us do labels. I'm so sorry. I'm not sick. I'm just leftover snuffly. User story number 10 is going to say, ha ha ha. I made you make a bunch of input fields. Make sure they're labeled as well. So we can do a couple different things here. We could wait and do that with user story number 10, or because we cheated, it's not really cheating, and looked ahead, we could do that as part of this one. Yeah? Yeah? ID name. I'm going to copy that. Command C. I'm going to take a deep breath. And come all the way up. I'm going to add that requirement as well. Yeah? Cool. Cool. Cesar, look at you keeping me honest. So let's go ahead and turn this into code. Yeah, let's go one step at a time, Rajesh says. Okay. Yeah, we can do one step at a time. So we could do these. We know that's coming. We've previewed that. We know we're going to add labels later. But let's do this one step at a time. And I think you make a good point. So, not only with these projects, not only is the content, the stuff we're putting in here, yours and your creative, but also the way you're going to build this can be your way. If you like to read all of the instructions and turn those into a big checklist, you can do that. If you're chaotic and messy like me and you want to go back and forth all day and take way more time than you need to, you could do that as well. But Rajesh is saying, hey, let's do this in an organized fashion. And you know what? Even though I'm a terribly disorganized person myself, I respect that. So, input element. Input. Is input self closing? Input. We don't know. I mean, you look like you're self closing. Can I do it a little bit more? Yeah, let's go a little bit more quickly. Input. So, and the input type attribute is set to text. And then, so we've got an input element in our form. Yes. The input type is text. Yes. Needs to have the required attribute. And remember, for the required attribute, we don't have to say anything. We can just say required. It's chill. Yes. And I've done this sort of as a checklist because I like to check things off as we go. Takes a user's name. Ooh. Yeah. So here, we can say, what is your name? We need to have that text, don't we? Maybe. And this technically works. Yeah. We're going to make this prettier, aren't we, later? So it does take a user's name. And let's check that it has an ID of name. It's got the form ID, the input needs to have an ID equal to name. I have no idea if I've actually done this right, which is sort of how I live my whole life. So what we're going to do is we're going to run our tests. 5 out of 17 is passed, which strongly suggests that we've got this fourth user story okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inside the form element, I'm required to enter my name with a field. Yeah, no error. Number 5, we've got an error, but that's because we haven't done it yet. Everything is chill. Yeah, let's do this. Let's gloriously delete this because we are done. We are free. None of user story 4 can't hurt us anymore. I'm going to take our comment down here because we're going to start breaking down user story number 5. Don't worry if we don't get through enough of this together. We're going to be working on this together in the Discord and in the forums. It's okay. I mean, it's okay if it's all stressful, isn't it? Oh. So, inside the form, I'm required to enter an email with a field in a field with the ID of email. This is going to feel a lot like what we just did, isn't it? So number 5, I think I need an input element again, right? Last time, our input type was text. I don't think our input type should be text this time. I'm going to cheat and drop you all the documentation. You think there's an input type that will work especially well for us here? Oh, heck, I'm just jumping around. I think our input type should be email. Yeah. The required ID, ID, The required attribute was set to the name one, and here it says, I am required to. We're seeing that exact same language we saw in user story 4. I think we need that again, don't we? The required attribute has to be here. And then we've got an ID of email. Yeah. Look at you, Sasha, after my own heart. The input type should be email. We've got this. This is going to be super chill. So let's just read the long form and make sure that we've got our bullet points right. Inside the form element, so we know where we're going. Probably right under the name, huh? I'm required attribute to enter. So to enter input element, an email input type, and it has the idea. I think this is going to do us. I think this will be fine. Let's go ahead and, so it's going to be inside our form elements. We want to be in here. Super chill. Oh, we've got it like a pat, which is something that Ramon, our JavaScript teacher, does because he's the nicest man in the world. So we've got another input element, which we've just reminded ourselves is self-closing. And with self-closing, you can have this slash. You don't need the slash. HTML5 got rid of it, but sometimes in free code camp, it asks for that to do it. Alan is asking such a good question. I'm going to answer that while typing out this HTML. Why are we rewriting our user stories? Well, I'm rewriting our user stories because, hang on. Sometimes a user story can feel really weird. I like to go through and break it down and say, what are you actually asking me for? What does this mean in terms of what I build? But also, because a lot of you are learners, this is really it's a word puzzle, isn't it? Even more than a technical problem, it's a language problem. And I really like to do language problems together with you. It's more about we're more talking through the logic than giving you the answers today. And that's the real reason we're writing the user stories, because I'm mean. I just want to model, hey, here's how we break these down into technical requirements, and it's all okay. Oh, heck, I haven't been keeping track as we go. So yes, we have an input element. The input type should be email. And it should have an ID of email. We can do, we could have just copied and pasted, what is your name? We've got an ID, not an is, equal to email. What do you think? Is this done? And see, this is a big part of why we break those down. Yeah, Carlos points out, you know what? These user stories are meant to build empathy with your user. We write them from a user-focused perspective because it's not, I have to make a div. It's, my user needs to be able to do this thing. These are the needs of my user in a story. And I've actually not done that here. I missed something super important, which my user needs. Looking down here, can you tell me what I've forgotten that my user needs? So here inside the form element, I'm required to enter an email with in a field with the ID email. But as a user, and that's something I want you to do a lot, where you look at these and say, what does my user expect? What does my user need to make this happen? And here, I didn't ask for text asking for email. Yeah. So if I'm a user and I come in here and it says, what is your name? I say, oh, this must mean my first name and last name. Yeah. Daria's saying, you need that text? Thank you, my love. So sorry, my love. That's very informal of me. So what we're going to do is where does that go? That goes before it, doesn't it? What is your email? Here we go. And as a user, this still isn't great, is it? Like, this is all jumbled together. It's a little bit messy. What we're going to do is say, it's a styling issue. This isn't great. We're going to come back to this. This is messy. I wouldn't want to turn this in as my final assignment. But right now, chill. This is chill. We'll go and make it pretty last. Let's run our tests because I think we've got it this time. 7 out of 17. But yeah, show me the 7 out of 17. Ooh, look at this. We've got some extra ones. If it says, if I enter an email that is not formatted correctly, I will get an HTML5 validation error. So, can you tell me what did I write here? Because I didn't specifically say, I didn't write any magical code that checks. What do you think? While I get some cocoa because I'm rubbish. Well, not rubbish because I'm enjoying my morning. How did we do this? How are we checking that the email is formatted correctly? Y'all are the worst. The minute I get a mouthful of cocoa, you're like, wait, 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 here's the answer. What I mean is, y'all are the best. Setting the type of email does some very simple validation for us. When you say type email, all it's going to do is say, cool, the user input, I'm going to require that that has an at sign, the little wiggly baby, and it has a full stop, a period. Yeah, a features rightly points out that this is sort of JavaScript validation happening behind the scenes with the test suite. And this is technically correct, which is the best kind of correct, but I'm not going to talk too much about how that happens under the hood yet. Yes, Marcia, this is sort of an inbuilt part of validation. So user story 5 is completely done. I'm going to delete this. I am free. User story 5 can't hurt me anymore, except I want to talk to you about two different types of testing because we're doing one kind of testing. And what we're doing right now is we're doing little bits of testing, aren't we? We're testing individual aspects of this. But what's going to be really important at the end is we're going to want to test all of this and see not just how we met, okay, number one is done, number two, but we're going to see how it flows together. Make sure that we haven't met all of the individual requirements and built something that doesn't really work for people. Look at this. User story 6 says, if I enter an email that's not formatted correctly, I will see an HTML5 error. We've done that. We snuck the right type in because you all are fantastic. User story 6 is done, my loves. We are free. I mean, we're not because we still have like 10 of these to go. But let's continue to break these down. We're going to go a little bit faster. And you know what? We can stay a little bit longer than an hour today if we want. Yeah, everything's chill. Nothing bad is. I keep promising you nothing bad is going to happen, and that is outside my powers. So, oh, Nikki's asking a really good question. And usually we take the questions at the end, but I'm going to sneak and do this. Well, how do we remove inline again? And this is a good question because you're saying, you know what? I'm going to keep blocking. I'm going to keep doing my requirements first, but I'm looking into the near future and I don't like this. I think we would do that in CSS. And I think we would use the display. Yeah. So I might go to MDN and say, CSS display. Oh, Cindy's giving me the answers. And saying, we'll do it in CSS. We're going to use a display property. We're going to set that to block. You want to do that right now? Ooh, ooh, ooh. How would we set the display property to block for all of our input elements? I'm going to make y'all tell me because I'm lazy. Okay. Ephedrus, I'm always pronouncing your name wrong, I bet, is pointing out that we've actually got two ways to do this, that we could use a break. Yeah. And a break is an HTML element, which is really like a carriage return, an enter. Yeah. So my coding adventure is saying, oh, you know what? We could set these on different lines by putting them inside a parent element. But Ling, you know I'm lazy. Ling knows I'm lazy. And you're like, lazy people want to do a selector. Let's go ahead and do that just super fast right now. Just so we can space those out, just so we feel chill with this, yeah? And it's gonna be display and block. Look at that. As soon as we said, hey, display these block style, our CSS got to work and said, every time I see an input element, I'm gonna put that on a new line for you. I got you. But yeah, you might say, well, I actually want these two to be on the same line. I want the what is your name and the block. And I'm going to be mean and make you, only if you want to, experiment with that on your own. So inside the form, I can enter a number in a field with ID number. This is gonna feel like what we've just been doing. So I'm gonna go a little bit faster. Yeah. Ooh, this is such a good way to do that. Say, hey, maybe I want everything to be block displayed, which you could do with this little star selector. Perfect, brilliant, incomparable. I'm going to go a little bit faster through number 7, and we're going to break this down just because it's going to feel like the other ones. So I needed an input element, and y'all yell at me what else we need as we go. Takes a number. Ooh. So how can we make it only, because I'm going to cheat again. User story number, if I enter a non-number in the number, it'll see an HTML5 valid. I'm going to cheat and give you a hint that these two come together, that we should be able to do the same way we did number 5 and number 6 together. I think we can do number 7 and number 8 together. And if this is something where you're like, oh, how do you know that? This is just having done it before. This is just old lady experience. When you get your old lady experience, you'll be able to say, oh, I think I can do these at the same time. If you've got to do something and then go back and fix it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So we've got an input element. I'm giving you a hint so the people who watch the video know, oh, we can do 7 and 8 together. Nice. It takes a number. So we're going to go look at the documentation to see how we do that. What else do we have here? It has an ID of number. Do you know what? We kept forgetting this and when I say we, I mean me. I kept forgetting this every time, but it also has to have has text asking for ID number. Yeah. So what do we want to do first? Do we want to start writing out the structure, or do we want to look up what type? So takes a number. Because we were able to set the type to email, I think we're going to be able to use that type trick again. I don't know automatically what type we need to take a number. So let's look at this. Input. Let's zoom out a little bit. This is very big. Input types. This is exactly where we want to be. Button, checkbox, color, date. Oh, y'all are way ahead. Numeric, we think. Numeric image, month, number. A control for entering a number. Displays a spinner and adds default validation where supported. Do we want to do that? That sounds cool. So this won't give us a text box. This is going to give us one of 2 different kinds of inputs for putting in a number. It might give us a spinner, which would be cool. Or it might give us a numeric keypad and you know what? We're going to check and make sure that there's no extra things. Look at this very, very scary example. Number, tentacles, and we have the option for a min max here. Ooh, this is a very exciting rabbit hole. So what if I say, I know that my ID numbers are between 5 and 10 numbers. So we can copy this and say, we could set a maximum and a minimum to set that validate. We could be very extra. So if I was asking for a phone number, we could set it. You know what? I'm going to ask a question that sounds very silly. How many numerals do phone numbers have where you're based? So I think in the UK, 10? I'm not from the UK. I just had to count on my fingers like a child. Sasha's asking, why do we need min-max? We don't need it. Oh, why do min-max need the quotes? And that's because we're passing in a value. And anytime we pass in a value, those go into quotes. And that might feel weird because in JavaScript, we're going to use those quotes usually around strings, right? But here, any kind of value we're passing into our HTML needs those quotes. Let me go ahead and start breaking this down. What do we got? We've got Leanne, if there's 11 numbers in a phone number where you are, Atraf 10. Ooh, Leanne points out that age verification could require a minimum. Yeah. If I've got a website for a super cool nightclub and somebody tells me they're 8, I don't even want to talk to you if you're 8. Absolutely not. You can go somewhere else, love. We want to be nice to kids, but we don't want to give them access to everything. So let's go ahead and add another input type. Input. And we've already given you a little bit of a spoiler that our type is going to be number. Yeah, and let's look at what these extra things we can have. Number. And let's go ahead and do our min max in here, isn't it? Min is going to be, oh, heck. That'll get you if you don't do this outside. The min is going to be 1. Let's say we want you to have at least one number in your ID. And the maximum is going to be any number in the world. What's the biggest phone number I saw from somebody? 11. That's quite a bit of phone number. 11. This is an ID number, not a phone number, but we can do whatever we want. The input should be in. Oh, thank you so much, Legend. Look at it. It says right here inside the form, and it's not even going to work outside the form. I'm going to do the laziest move and cut Control X and paste my form element just to get this where it goes. You are absolutely a sweetheart, keeping me honest. So what are we doing here? We've got an input element, yes. It's a number. It's a number type. Oh gosh. It's got an ID of number. Let's add that. ID equal to number. And the last one was our human one. Sounds very morbid, like we're doing this for aliens, and we've got to make sure to remember humans. But we want to ask, what is your ID number? And I want to point something out that is super cool. We don't have Ps, we don't have paragraphs wrapped around this text, but by default, HTML will automatically do those. I think best practices might actually be to wrap these in a paragraph tag, even within a form. We think that's probably the best way to do it. But one thing we love about HTML is it's really fault tolerant. Does anybody remember what fault tolerant means? It means you can screw up a bunch of stuff and it's just chill. It's just fine with it. It's not going to hurt you. Ooh, somebody else points out to say, well, you know what else we don't have is we don't have our label. And you are perfectly, incomparably correct. We don't have our label yet. Let's go ahead and run our user tests. Run our tests and see if we've got 7 and 8 done. 10 out of 17. I expected 9. Technology stack still fine. 1, 2. Oh. So actually, we've done even more than we thought we did just by including this number type. So number 7 is saying, hey, have your input element, have the ID right, and make it numbers. But here, number 8 is don't let me enter things that are not numbers, which we solved by using the number type. And number 10 also says, hey, if I enter numbers outside the range of input. Let's look at what that looks like in our requirements. And this is something we did. Hey. If I enter numbers outside the range of the number input, which are defined by the min and max attributes, we saw these in our documentation. So we just included those because we thought they made sense, right? But they're actually something we're required to do. Just by following best practices, we've done a whole blob of extra homework. We can not only delete number 7 and 8, which is going to feel amazing, right? We're going to delete number 9. Evie. Perfect. And you say, Jess, you've used P tags. That doesn't feel like what we use in a form, does it? I bet you actual money we're going to go and change those around. Yeah. Ooh. So say, why have we added P tags? Those don't feel right for a form. What feels right for a form? So you're correct. You are absolutely correct. That's wrong. And the real reason I put the P around where the label should go is I'm tired. But also, these are just normal, chill mistakes that people can make all the time. And I love to make them with everybody watching. Our user story 10 is saying, babe, 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 babe. Because I assume user stories are very informal with me and call me babe. And it says, babe, those P tags should be label elements instead. For the name, email, and number input fields inside the form, I can see corresponding labels that have the following ID. Yeah. Ooh, let's go ahead and do that. So this P tag is wrong. I mean, this P tag is right. Right? Oh, heck, 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 heck. I'm just rubbish all over the place. This one's right. Ain't gonna touch that. That's fine. Ooh, Leanne is getting ahead of us in a very good way and says, I expect to see field set. And yeah, we're gonna get there. I absolutely. Can you remind me what field set is important for? But while we're doing that, we're saying, hey, these P tags here, I think they're gonna be label tags instead. Yeah. Because you're right. You are so consistently right. Yeah. So label. We're gonna turn these P's into labels. Every single one of them. And, ooh, look at that. As soon as I made this one label, what it did is it automatically turned the second one into a label. So a lot of text editors will do this for you. And it makes it super, super easy to make mistakes, super, super forgiving. Oh, Sasha, no, I'm not actually that tired. I'm just very lazy. So we've changed those into labels. Cool. So for the name, email, we see input field number. We can see corresponding labels that describe the purpose of each field with the following IDs. What are we going to do here? We are going to copy and paste. So ID equals name label. I'm going to come up to, and here we've got to do a little bit of logic. It says we're going to put these next to the corresponding ones. Ooh, Irvin, the question about what a field set is good for. Irvin says a field set lets you organize and group these items in a form, and it's helpful for styling. It is really helpful for styling. What set of users is this especially useful for as well? Who gets some extra benefit around field sets? So, and you might say, Jess, we've got 2 IDs. That's fine. That's super fine. We can have, and I think we can do 2 IDs just like that, right? That feels okay. Let's check and see if this breaks. I love to check and see if this breaks. Oh, heck. I'm just wondering about ID of email label. And our last one's going to be an ID of number label. Oh, Control C. Required ID. So we got the email and email label. Here we've got the ID of number and number. Wait, no, I'm completely rubbish, aren't I? I am reliably rubbish, and I'm doing this absolutely wrong. Let me go ahead and not do this wrong. So, where am I doing this? The label needs the ID, doesn't it? Not the input. I can see corresponding labels that describe. Yeah, we're going to put these IDs in the labels, not in the input. You all are so patient with me. So to come in here, label, ID equals name label. And what we could do is we could actually run our tests and see 4 out of 17 passed. That broke a lot. I'm required to enter there should be an input field with a text field of ID equals name. I expected to put my ID inside of the name label, and that broke, right? I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these and see if it's still broken. It might be a quirk with the tests because quirks are weird. Tests are weird. But let's go ahead and try this with the ooh, let's try this with selecting everything and being rubbish. Let's try this with the IDs inside the label. And if that doesn't work, oh, yeah, if that, I think I see what's happening. Let's look at the colors. I'm missing. Ah, ha, 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 ha. I managed to delete that closing quotation mark. And that's where these bright colors will really save us. Yeah. So here I know that the stuff in quotation marks should be green. And when I saw we had way more green than I expected, yeah. Okay, you were such a sweetheart. And Alan as well saying, babe, you didn't close those quotation marks. And that's absolutely what went wrong. Ooh, we've got the exact same problem here, don't we? Everything's going to be fine. We've got our ID in our label here. We've got our ID in our label here. Let's do an ID in our label here. And the ID was, was it number label? Number ID? Or label? Ooh, Marta's got such a good question. Yeah, no, let's run these tests while I answer your question. So Marta's asking, with these IDs, is there a semantic purpose or is there some kind of other functional purpose here? So the big purpose behind these IDs in this example is they're being used by the tests. So we could think of this as test-driven development. We've written, we haven't. Free Code Camp has written us a bunch of tests to check that we're doing it right. And we're writing our code to meet the tests. But here, these labels might be really useful for somebody these IDs in the labels might be really useful for somebody who's using a screen reader and helps giving them those extra landmarks to navigate. For the name, email, and number input fields, I can see corresponding labels that describe the purpose of each field and the following IDs. Cool. So even though I wasn't super sure, does the ID go in the labeled element? Does it go in the input element? I tried one and the other. It's inside the label element. Everything is chill. Let's go ahead. We've got, yeah. Oh gosh, we're running way over. Let's do one more, and then let's do question and answer. I'm so sorry. I've wasted a lot of y'all's time chuckling about how clever you are. Ooh, we're not even going to do this one. We're going to preview it. Yeah. For the name, email. Oh, where has, where's my preview gone? I don't like that. Oh, I forgot the comment issue. So I think I accidentally deleted the start of the comment and it just got very confused. So for the name, email, and ID number, we need placeholder text. I've completely forgotten how to do placeholder text. Where would I look? Where would I start looking if I didn't know how to do placeholder text? Yeah. We're going to go ahead. Oh, should the closing label be put after the input element? So, HM, this is a super good question. I think a label is a. Oh, should that be put after the input element? Quite possibly. Let's take a look at the label attribute and check. Label. Okay, so here in MDN's example, we're seeing that closed before the input. Yeah, so I think it's okay to close it before we do the input. Martin Legend are saying, cool, we need to learn about placeholder text. Let's go ahead and search for placeholder. Placeholder. Let's do that in forms. Wait. How to make placeholder HTML form. We're going to wind up with MDN. Ooh, dare we? Dare we? Do you want to try W3 Schools? Yeah. Cool. And this is saying that, this is a bit hard to read, isn't it? So, It's saying that we're going to put this inside as an attribute inside our input. So I'm only going to do one because we're running well over, and I know lots of you have stuff to do, and I want to answer your questions. So we're going to come up all the way to the top, and it's inside our input element where it's just, yeah, Leanne, look at you. Absolutely, durably, completely, ineffably right. All of y'all are like, come on, y'all, we just do placeholder. Placeholder. And as soon as I say name, yeah, we've got that text that says, and here we're just yelling at you, aren't we? We're saying, what is your name? Name. What is your email? Email. And I'm going to let y'all do the rest of these on your own. And when I say the rest of these, look how heartbreaking this is going to be. Are you ready? Are you ready? We've got 11, 12. You know what? This is actually not that bad, is it? Ooh, we've got some more stuff we've got to build. So we've gotten a little bit more than halfway, but because I am the meanest teacher, of course I've left you the hard stuff to do on your own. But I would love to take a couple minutes and answer any of your questions. And if y'all are stuck on some technical stuff about the platform or any of that, happy to answer this here. Happy to help unstick you in the forum, or happy to help unstick you in the Discord as well. The one thing I want to say is, if you have time, don't worry if you don't. It's just programming. It's not the end of the world. If you have to, I'd love, love, love to see your creativity here. When you finish this, there's no rules against. We actively encourage you to come drop this. Yeah, come drop this into the forum. Come drop this into the Discord, and get some feedback. People are going to be so excited. Khalid is asking such a cool question and saying, "Hey, could we write this? Could I write this in a text editor like VS Code, and then paste them into Free Code Camp? Is this laziness or good practice?" I might say that this is sort of personal preference. Yeah. Oh, so let's go ahead and look at another thing, because I think they've given us an option to do this. So it's also saying, whoop, where's my brain? You can also and we'll come to the forum, come to Discord, and we'll talk to you about how to do this. But we can also use the CDN link. We can put these tests inside VS Code. We could put these tests inside your favorite coding environment. It's just a little bit finicky to do. So we're going to guide you through that in the forum or in the Discord. That's what people call IRC these days. I'm so old. So yes, you can copy and paste it back and forth from your text editor, but it might be really useful to take a minute and come into the Discord or come into the forum and see if we can't get this running in VS Code for you if you would prefer to do that. Where are we? Alan, can we add CSS styling on our own? Not only can you, but I'd really appreciate if you did. I'm being selfish. I'm going to get to see a whole bunch of these as you finish them. So you come and post them, but don't forget that you've got to submit these to get credit. So I've completed this challenge. To complete it, you need to copy, Control C, and paste your own Codepen and say, I've completed this challenge. And then the computer will check it for you. So you do have to put it in Codepen eventually. You will have to copy and paste this into a Codepen. But yeah, it'll be super chill. So not only, please add CSS styling by your own. Make it creative, make it weird, make it loud or classy. But yeah, get as weird as we can. So can you guide us through step 12 where it requires select and drop down? Where should you place the ID drop down? And how many options should there be? Sasha, I'm going to be so cruel. I'm going to be so unkind. And I'm not going to walk through this with you. Not right now. But I am going to go ahead and show you. So where can we find the documentation that's going to do this? Yeah? We can look at MDN. Or drop down. DuckDuckGo is going to get us as well. Like we can go ahead and see what else other people have done. Drop down. HTML form. And just that might be able to do it, isn't it? To do a drop-down list in HTML select tag to create a drop-down list. And we could look at the W3C. We could look at whoever that is. I've never heard of them. Or this gives us the select element. Uh, MPN. I think this is going to be the documentation that gives us an example of what it looks like and shows it where it goes. Um, I'm just being mean, like ha ha ha. I'm not going to show you yet. Yeah. And we've got a really, really good question. Where is it? Where is it? Where have you gone? Do, do, do. Oh, yeah. Do we have a deadline for this project? Absolutely not. It's going to work the best if you can try and finish this up this week. But you know what would be really cool? Even after you pass all it, even after you get credit for this, you can still come back and tune it up a little bit. You can say, oh, well, you know what? I've learned Flexbox, or I will learn Flexbox. And I can redo the CSS, or I can redo the CSS and the HTML and make this a lot more exciting. So I'd say, hey, try and get all the tests passing. Try and get credit for it this week if you have time. No problem if you don't. But don't feel like you're done. Oof, that's the worst thing about web development, isn't it? You can always go back and refactor or rewrite that code and make it work a little better. So, yeah, try and get the test passing this week if you can, but definitely keep experimenting and getting weird. And please, please, please drop this into the chat and drop this into the forum so I can just absolutely fuss over how this is. Yeah. So, and we've got a really good point here to say, oh, you know what? The question about how select works, if you go back into the last assignment where we looked at the registration form, I bet, well, both of us bet that this covers that. That's super chill. So, if it's not me heartlessly abandoning you, Maxime, you're asking, how do we extend the phone field? Can you ask this question in a different way? I'm not sure I totally get what's being asked here. If you're someplace where this is the middle of the night, Carol is saying, I'm off to sleep. You go to sleep, sweetheart. Sleep is. Remember, Barbara Oakley and Zach Caceres came to talk to us, and they said that sleep is one of the most valuable learning tools you have. You go to sleep. Here's a question: how to connect the form to MetaMask to submit it? Is that one of our requirements? I don't know what MetaMask is. Oh, it's a crypto thing. You're gonna have to look at their documentation. I'm so sorry. So I have never ever heard of MetaMask, and I do not know how to how to do it. Sorry, but any third-party thing. So say, hey, how do I connect this to Typeform? Somebody who a company that does forms, or how do I connect this to my email? You're gonna want to look at the documentation for that service, any external service, and they'll be able to tell you. Fabulous. Yep. So, okay, Maxine was saying, oh, when I'm looking at this on my phone, I love this. You're testing this on your phone. That's amazing. Yes, yes, yes. After my own heart. How do I make that? How do I increase the size of that field? Because it looks weird on my phone. It looks a little bit short. And y'all are helping each other. I love this. Okay, listen, babe, we can use the CSS we could just increase the width in CSS and it's gonna be chill. Everything's chill. Y'all are answering this way better than I could. So I'm good. Ooh, and Leanne makes another point. You know what? Not only can we adjust the width of the phone field, if you wanted to adjust that, we can adjust all of the widths for the form overall by looking at the CSS properties of the parent element. And we can do that in a real fast way by using the pseudo selector. This star is going to give us everything in root, which means everything that lives in the HTML or everything that lives in root pseudo class. I'm sitting up here telling you wrong things. There we are. The root pseudo class. Okay, so root is going to be everything that sits within HTML. I got it. I got it. So if you want to set rules for everything, you set it in here. Say background, color, pink. Does this not work on, can we not, maybe we can't use the root pseudo class in Codepen. That's a bit rubbish. And root's going to paint literally everything. So let's use the selector for form. Let's say anytime you see a form, give me these rules. Let's see if I'm just doing something wrong. Okay, cool. Everything's fine. So yeah, looks like the root element, the root pseudo class isn't working in CodePen. My fault. It does work in free CodeCamp, and it looks really cool. You just, here's the rules for everything. Oh wait, did I do the formatting wrong? Oh gosh, did I? Y'all are pointing out that it's root with the, I might have just done the formatting wrong. Let's see if I'm just rubbish and blaming it on CodePen, because that sounds like exactly the kind of thing I would do. Ah, ooh, these colors are a lot. So, um, here's an example that you can forget everything all the time and still get to work in tech. I completely forgot that the pseudo class for root starts with a colon, even though it literally says it right here, like the absolute stubbornness with which I refuse to learn. All right, on the topic of my own personal goofiness, it might be time to go ahead and chill for the day. Try and get all your tests passing on this project this week if you can and get that turned in. But I would love to see your creativity. Throw this in the Discord, throw this in the chat, and I'm going to be so excited to see what you've built. One thing that I'm really, really chuffed about is that we've got another guest session this Thursday. We're going to have an optional, completely optional guest session every single Thursday. And we're going to be talking about version control and getting an introduction to Git. When we talk about these tools that you're often going to hear about working in tech, Git, which might mean a service like GitHub or a service like GitLab or Bitbucket, was Bitbucket also good? Maybe. Are going to be really, really common. And I think most developer jobs are going to ask you to have familiarity with Git these days. So we're going to have somebody who works for GitHub, a big fancy company, come and talk to us about what is Git? How do I do it? And that's going to be in the bootcamp portal. So you can go ahead and set yourself a reminder. And Cindy's asking, can we share our product link in forum or Discord? Only if you want to. You don't have to share it in the forum and Discord to get your certificate, but you have to share it in the forum and Discord if you want us to fuss over you and make a big to-do about how great it is. You all are completely perfect and just a joy to get to learn with. I will be right back here at the same time tomorrow, much less sleepy. And then we're going to go ahead and keep learning. We're going to chill out, let you finish the project on your own. And then on Thursday, we're going to come back with a guest. Fridays are always off. You don't want to work on, you don't want to study on a Friday. I'm going to let you go, and please have the easiest possible morning or afternoon, or go to bed if it's your homework. Y'all, what is your most important homework? Your most important homework, yes, try and finish this by the end of the week. That'd be really nice. But your most important homework is to be as gentle as you possibly can to yourself. It's 2022. Stuff has been scary and stuff has been rough for a while, right? Cindy's got it to rest. Just be good to yourself. Like, programming isn't real. Programming is just imaginary word puzzles inside a computer. Programming can't hurt you, and it's not that important. Programming will be there tomorrow. It'll be there next week. It'll be there next year. You take care of yourself first because, yeah, you are much, much more important than word puzzles. I'm going to let y'all go. Bye, my lovelies.